Hello again, and welcome back to the archives. The Force Ghost of Anakin Skywalker has been a strange case ever since its inception. In the very last moments of his death, Anakin was taught the secret by the ghost of Obi-Wan, who could now reach him since he was in the light side. Anakin was able to achieve at modicum of what Obi-Wan and Yoda had. However, for a long time, his presence could only be manifested in small amounts. After Luke saw his father manifest on Endor, it would be a very long time before Anakin would appear to the boy again. This was in both legends and canon that Luke began to wonder if his father only had a certain amount of strength and could only make himself manifest as a Force ghost in rare occurrences. Yet in canon, there was a situation that happened where Luke would actually have his life saved by the ghost of his father, who would show up in a blaze of glory, using what Luke believed to be the last of Skywalker's power to defend his son against the Sith on Exegol. So today, my friends, let's open another holocron and discuss why Luke believed that Anakin's Force ghost stopped appearing to him. Our tale begins with Grandmaster Luke Skywalker having established a Jedi Order, beginning to get visions of a dark, dry place filled with lightning. Luke sensed a shadowy presence growing there, and though he didn't know it at first, he was having a vision of the world of Exegol. The Force was trying to show him that Palpatine's power was manifesting there. Luke would go on a journey to uncover the source of these visions, which would lead him to uncovering a crashed ship filled with bled kyber crystals, as well as a few journals and a Sith holocron. Luke sought to safely unlock the secrets of the holocron in order to gain more clues to this strange world. The best place to do this would be the Jedi world of Tython. In Legends continuity, Tython was the birthplace of the Jedi Order, but it seems in canon that this has been changed to Ahch-To. However, Tython is still very important to the Jedi, as many ruins are there from the ancient days of the Order, including a place that has been dubbed the Force Henge. There lay the Seeing Stone. We remember the Seeing Stone on Tython from The Mandalorian Season 2, as that was where Grogu meditated while Din Djarin met with Boba Fett for the first time. Taking the Sith holocron there, Luke began to meditate with it and the Seeing Stone, hoping that the stone would aid him and boost his powers, gifting him more insight. But Luke never expected what actually ended up happening. Luke would find himself in another vision of Exegol. However, this one was far more than just a vision. It was as if he had actually been transported there. In a strange way, he almost had, but not totally. Luke surmised that the Sith holocron may have brought him there using the power of the Seeing Stone, but in that moment, Luke Skywalker would find himself in the fight of his life, one which almost became his very last. 9 cloaked beings known as the Sith Wraiths appeared to the Jedi Grand Master, all wielding red lightsabers. While canon doesn't exactly give us an explanation as to what these Sith Wraiths actually were, we can go to Legends and look at something similar to gain a clue at their true identity. The closest parallel we have would be the Darkside Wraiths, which were dark priests still clinging to the facsimile of life following passing on through the Force. Not quite living, not quite dead. These Sith Wraiths would be equated to another kind of Wraith you would be familiar with, only there is no one ring to be found here. Only one Sith, Darth Sidious. As Luke appeared, the Wraiths all came at the Grand Master with their blades ready. Lightning flashes on the planet, making the colors of their sabers appear black and inverted. Luke managed to defend himself from their attacks using his own lightsaber, but he quickly found out in his current state he was completely powerless against them. While his saber could interact with theirs, anytime he tried to attack, his lightsaber and his body would simply pass right through them. Luke was thrown completely on the defensive, struggling to overcome this new mysterious enemy. But this only lasted so long when all of the Wraiths came together in collective for one coordinated attack. It would have been the end of Luke. But a flash of blue light appeared, taking the shape of a humanoid figure, wielding a blue lightsaber of their own. At first, Luke thought it was Obi-Wan who had come to his rescue, but with a single push, the Force Ghost blasted all of the Wraiths away, and when he lowered his hood, Luke saw that it was his father, Anakin. Upon seeing the face of the Chosen One, all of the Sith Wraiths backed away, shrieking and screaming until they vanished entirely into the darkness. It was here Anakin reached out to Luke, and upon taking his hand, Luke was transported back to Tython. Anakin had come back with him, and when Luke returned, he saw that all of his books were burning and the Sith holocron had been destroyed. When communing with his father, Luke noticed that Anakin seemed to be in pain and was actually afraid. Anakin explained that there was a disturbance in the Force which was a shadow from an ancient time. He also clarified that the Seeing Stone had sent a part of Luke to Exegol, explaining why his power had been diminished and explaining what had happened. But he then told Luke that it had taken everything within him to bring him back. Anakin reminded Luke that he could divert the path of the Force if he needed to, and that no matter how dark things seemed, he was never alone, and as long as he allowed the Force to be his guide, it would always lead him to where he was meant to be. It was after this that Anakin left, and from this point forward, Luke began to believe that Anakin had used all of his power and wasn't able to manifest himself any further. But I think we know that this isn't quite true now. All of these events happened in 21 ABY, which is of course 12 years away from the current events of the Ahsoka series. There is a lot to discuss here, so let's break it all down. What I'm most interested in is the events surrounding Anakin's appearance. When he arrived, the Sith Wraiths were completely powerless against him, and were terrified of him, shrieking away when they saw the face of the Chosen One. It's amazing that Anakin's notoriety has extended into the reaches of the spirit realm all over the Force itself. So much that even half-living Wraiths know who he is and fear his power. He is, after all, now basically the replacement of the Father and the Master of the realm beyond. Anakin is so powerful, he strikes fear into otherworldly beings from a distant realm. All evil flees from his presence, and that is absolutely appropriate. Having said this though, it is now clear to us that while Anakin's reach in the world between worlds is extensive, his ability to manifest his power in the world of the living is limited, to the point where it seems that bending time and space is quite draining on him, since he said it took all of his power to do so. Now, Luke assumed here that Anakin meant that he would no longer be able to come back at all, and that he had used all of his power to save his son. But I think, with the information we now have from Ahsoka, that Anakin was just going to need some time to recharge his ability to manifest and manipulate the world of the living after having pulled off such a large feat. Not that he could never manifest himself again. It's a bit curious why Anakin didn't just tell Luke outright what was going on with Palpatine, but there may be a chance that he didn't know it was Sidious specifically. He may have only sensed that it was an ancient evil that he could not ascertain any further. Either that, or he was obeying some sort of cosmic time law that disallowed him from saying any more. After all, Force Ghosts can't just give the ones they're helping all the answers, or it defeats the purpose of the heroes taking the journey themselves and the lessons that they need to learn, which is important to the balance of all things. For instance, Luke knew deep down that Leia was his sister. The ghost of Ben Kenobi only confirmed it rather than telling him outright. As far as his advice about diverting the path in the Force goes, if I'm being honest, I think that this was just a justification for the whole exile thing Luke decided to do in canon in the future. I don't believe that Anakin would ever tell Luke to exile himself, especially if he just said that a new evil was rising in a galaxy, and I believe that Luke misinterpreted what his father was saying. What is clear though, is that Anakin Skywalker manifests himself to the ones that he has taught far more than he does his own son, perhaps believing that he has his own duty and role to teach Ahsoka Tano and his Padawan, and it is Yoda's and Obi-Wan's responsibility to teach Luke. The training of the Jedi ultimately diverged when Obi-Wan trained Anakin as well as Luke Skywalker, and although Anakin is exceptionally powerful, Luke was never his apprentice, and therefore the role of communing with him lies on Yoda and Kenobi, while Anakin's responsibility lies with keeping balance and helping the path of Ahsoka Tano. But anyway, my friends, tell us what you think of Anakin's grand appearance in the canon novel to save Luke. Do you think this story is a bit outdated and is in need of a retcon considering Anakin's new power? Or do you think the explanation we speculated makes sense? Let us know your thoughts down below, and the reason given why Anakin doesn't visit Luke nearly as much as others. As always, my friends, thank you so much for visiting the channel today, and may the Force be with you.